This week on Women Who Rise, I'm joined by Wendy Goss, luxury real estate agent, coach, and the powerhouse behind Goss Boss Coaching. Wendy's story is such a refreshing reminder that rising doesn't mean performing a version of success that isn't yours. It means learning how to position yourself, leverage your strengths, and grow with intention. In this episode, we'll talk about what it really takes to move from the middle of the market into luxury, how to build a business that supports your life instead of consuming it, and why authenticity can still be your greatest edge in a high performance room. If you've ever felt called to more, but resisted the pressure to become someone else to get there, this conversation is going to meet you right where you are. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rise. I'm your host, Heather Mansy. Today, I'm joined by Wendy Goss, luxury real estate agent, coach, and founder of Goss Boss Coaching, who has built a standout brand at the intersection of high end real estate, digital marketing, and agent education. After nearly 2 decades in real estate, Wendy evolved from running her own brokerage, LV Sweet Homes Realty, to expanding with eXp Realty and building a coaching platform that helps agents elevate their price point, sell fewer homes, and make more. She's also the creator of Tech Tuesday with Wendy, where she teaches agents how to use technology and how to use her public platform, now reaching a wide audience through coaching, content, and YouTube. What makes this conversation so powerful is that Wendy's message that growth does not require becoming someone else. It actually requires clarity, confidence, strategy, and the courage to rise as your full self. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. And I'm excited for this conversation. I first witnessed you possibly for your first time on stage about 3 years ago to a audience of over 1,000. And you had spoken about your new sort of foray into luxury marketing and how that looked for you. And in fact, what it was like to go on stage and I just remember you were so full of life and exuberance and, excitement. And I did just get to see you again about a week ago on a Seattle stage. And you are just as exuberant, if not more so. What gives you the excitement around what it is that you have segued into with luxury and helping others realize it?
Well, exactly that. Right? It was exciting when I figured it out, but it's even more exciting, helping change other people's lives. So being able to share my story on stage, it's amazing because I feel like when I get off stage and everybody's like, oh my gosh, that I'm just inspiring more people, right? And I had no idea when I branched into luxury how many agents feel just like me, right?
Yeah.
Either they don't know how to break into that market or they don't feel luxury, right?
Yes.
So those are the people that I'm talking to every day, and I love it because they feel like if I can do it, they can do it. I am the opposite of luxury, which is kind of funny, but that's the thing as I get up there and I just know, it's kind of nerve-wracking being on a stage, but I love
Yes.
it because I know I'm going to help so many people and just getting the response from the Seattle rally, I was just like, oh yes. I mean, there's just so many people that are in that spot, stuck in
Yeah.
that hamster wheel of the $300,000 to $500,000 range, right? And being able to sell less and make more has just changed my life, and now I love that I'm changing others.
That is fantastic and so well said. I mean, really, it's true that I think with HGTV and kind of the mediafication of what the real estate job is, it really turned it from possibly an every person type of job to, especially with luxury, this niche that was only for the most luxurious among us, and we're supposed to be somehow dripping in diamonds and maybe with a small
Yep,
dog behind us or
carrying the
something.
Gucci
It's
bags and the high heels.
Yes, exactly. And, it becomes something that I think any agent, regardless of how long they've been in the industry, they may not feel that they are ready for or belong in that range or area simply because of price point. Can you talk a little bit about the difference, in fact, between marketing a luxury home and talking with those clients versus any client that you took great care of over the years? What did you find was the same, and what did you find was different?
Okay, well, I feel like I've always treated my clients like luxury, whether they were a manufactured home in Boulder City or a 17,000 square foot home that Michael Jackson used to live in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I've always did amazing marketing, brought in the photographers, had amazing videos done, know how to digitally market, run the ads. So I've always did that on all of my listings because I treat everybody the same. We say big or small, we sell them all, but so that the transition wasn't as tough as what I was thinking it would be because I already do that. I already know how to do that, right? At the XP Luxury on my site, obviously, I just do it better, right? Because there's a bunch of platforms that I didn't even know about that you can market your luxury homes to. So it just gave me another tool in my tool belt to feel comfortable talking to luxury home sellers. But honestly, um, I felt like my regular clientele, right? 3 to $500,000 range for 20 years was easy to talk to. Luxury home sellers are very easy to talk to as well. Once I got over the fact that it doesn't matter if I'm not, strutting around in the high heels and the stilettos because I cannot walk in high heels. Like I said, opposite of luxury, right? So you'll find me in jeans and boots. That is where I'm most comfortable. I'm from Oregon, so I do talk a little redneck. So my mindset issues was the main thing of going to these appointments, um, rather than a regular appointment, because of those things, right? Because I didn't feel luxury. Right. I definitely don't feel like a luxury agent. I don't play golf and pickleball and tennis. I don't belong to any country clubs. I'm not best friends with any attorneys. Right. So when I did this, I had to figure it out a non-traditional way because I don't want to do any of that stuff. Right. I'd rather be on my Harley with my husband, cruising around the country. So there's that. But thinking that luxury home sellers were super scary, they weren't, right? I went into that home that Michael Jackson used to live in, and I pulled up, and it took me a long time to go in, and I was just like, "Why am I doing this? I should just keep doing what I'm doing. It just feels so much better. I don't like this." So, I had a lot of head trash, going on, and,
Yeah.
they opened the door, and they had regular clothes on, right? They had, I think she was even in her slippers, and they took me into a conference room and they had McDonald's coffee sitting on the table. And I was like, "Oh, well, this is probably why they're rich because they don't spend money on Starbucks like I do." So, noted, right? And, we just sat down. I kind of told them, we talked about the story of, what they went through, why it didn't sell, why they think it didn't sell. They gave me a tour of the property and I said, "Oh my gosh, your home is beautiful. However, your sports court has seen better days, right? And we're going to have some amazing drone videography of your property, right? With the strip view, all the things. Have you ever thought of resurfacing it? Because I think we should add pickleball, right? 'Cause pickleball's a thing,
Yes.
and resurface it. So it'll be a multi sport court and it'll look really good in the drone photography. And they're like, oh, I don't know why our agent never said that. I'm like, yes. They're like, sure. You find out who it is, we'll write the check. $16,000. Didn't even blink an eye. So there's the difference, right?
Yes.
The buyers and sellers I've been working with forever, like, they don't have that kind of money, you know?
Yeah.
That's why they fight you on your commission. That's why they fight you on getting their home ready for market, right? They don't have the money to do it. I've spent years paying for this out of my own pocket to make sure
Yes.
I have a pretty house to sell, to make sure they're taken care of, right? Taking, it out of my commission to make sure they have enough money to buy their next house or retire or whatever, right? These people are different. They have money. That's the difference, right? And it was just like, they didn't beat me up on commission. They didn't care, like, whatever you want, let's just do it. Let us know what we need to do, So that was the difference. And then that was my big eye opener was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Right. And this is not going to be as hard as I thought. They're actually easier. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, luxury home sellers, they're high maintenance. Not really. Not really. If you think about it, the average seller is way more high maintenance.
That is such a good point. I love so much of that. I'm gonna unpack a few things here. Just number one, you called it head trash, just your biggest thing that you really had to overcome was not a thing at all. It was this imaginary mindset that you had created up here and that was keeping you stuck in an idea that luxury is not for me. And I hope the audience hears it, because whether they're in real estate or any other corporate job or have an ice cream shop or whatever, literally our mind is probably our greatest single limiting factor. And if we can overcome that, we can overcome most things, because the rest is just learning something and figuring it out on the go. And I love that you had the experience of this 17, million dollar place. And I'm sure was quite intimidating to you. So the contrast between those 3 to 500,000 and that going in, but you already showed that, like you said, number one, you were always treating your clients VIP, and number two, you had value add from the moment you did the tour, which is one, just your actual relatability. And then number two, that you came up with an idea nobody else had because you weren't afraid of the client. You were there to do a job. And in fact, how much more effective are we at our job if we're not intimidated by or afraid of the client and we can put our hat on to go to be a guide, to prescribe, things, to be a problem solver and to be the expert, rather than maybe put the client in that expert seat when they don't sell real estate and they don't know what they're doing. I love that you were able to show such value to them because you were honest. Honest, and let's talk about honesty and approachability for a minute, because I think that this is so part and parcel with your brand. And it's funny because I think I'm just talking about you as a person as well. And you have a brand that's completely aligned with how you as a person just are. So let's go back to the beginning. Where did you in your life learn and become this honest, approachable, person that is just out to treat everyone like an equal? Who taught you those values from an early age, and how did you learn to show them in your jobs?
Oh, wow. Well, it would probably have to come from my parents, right? Because they taught us how to, work for everything we get, and obviously treat people with kindness, and so I have to give them kudos for that. I
Yeah.
was a very difficult child. I don't know how they survived my teenage years, but we won't talk about that. Anyway,
And of course,
but
that's what the audience now wants to talk about.
yeah,
Perfect.
I mean, grew up in a small town, very small town, no stoplights, no cops, thank God, because I would have been in a lot more trouble than I was. But anyway, that is beside the point. But I feel like, um, they just instilled in me that life is not handed to us. I did not come from money, right? My dad was a contractor, and all know how that goes. Like some months was amazing. Some months were like, okay, here's some top ramen. So,
Yes.
so, everything I feel like I went through made me stronger and made me who
Yeah.
I was today. Right? So I've always been a hard worker, maybe a little over hard worker, right? I'm obsessed with working. But I feel like it's a good trait. There's a lot of people out there. I wish they were hard workers, right? But, when I started real estate, I saw the potential, and it's funny, a lot of people start like this, right? They see how much the agent made and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he showed me 2 houses and I found them on Zillow myself, like, and he just made $8,000. I could totally do that." Right? That's how I got into real estate. But
Yeah.
I also I also sold my own home or bought my own home in Oregon without a realtor, and, we moved the carpet and there was a big, huge stain or hole or something like that in the living room floor, right?
Gosh.
I didn't even think to move the carpet, right? I mean, so things like this, and it was just like, oh, and my agent wasn't amazing, right? And I feel like I could have did much better, right?
Yeah.
So as I branched into, selling homes, it was just all about making it all about them, putting my clients before my paycheck, right? It's always been the best thing. When I opened my brokerage, like I wouldn't even let agents join my brokerage unless they had that same philosophy, right? Because I feel like if you put your clients before your paycheck, right? It's just going to unfold so many possibilities, right? People refer me to their friends and family all the time. So if I have to take a hit on something, it's okay. They're going to know I did that for them and they're going to spread the love, right? And you're going to get so much more business from it. So that's kind of how I grew my business and my brokerage. And, I was very busy, selling 50 plus homes a year. So there was that. And that's kind of why I tapped into luxury. I love selling 50 plus homes a year. I love my regular clients, but honestly, I was just getting tired, right? I'm getting tired. Who out there is selling a ton of houses getting tired? That's me. So I said, if I if I tap into luxury, which I wasn't excited to do, right? That's not where I want to be. I could sell less and make more. It just makes sense, right? I
Yes.
I joined the XP and they told me I have this amazing exit plan, and it's called agent attraction, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, when am I gonna have time to do that? Selling 50 plus homes a year. So that's when we decided to tap into luxury. Like if I could sell less, make more, I'll have more time to agent attract, which that's my exit plan. And that's what I want to shoot for. Right. And I love this company so much. I was like, I want to have time to talk about it. So that's kind of why I did what I did and it just kind of all went together. And here we are.
And here we are. Yeah, and,
Yeah.
fantastic. Just the idea that, you were able to come from an upbringing where, like you said, there were a lot of months that were kind of tight, to now, I mean, you've really, really dramatically changed your economic position and had already done so. By the way, was selling, 50 homes a year. That's nothing to sneeze at. That already is, putting you in really the creme de la creme, right, for all the agents in the nation, well into the top 5% or something for agents in the nation to be at that number. Um, when you think back to your earliest years in real estate, long before luxury listings and coaching programs, what was being formed in you about your ambition and your identity, um, and your resilience that still shows up in the way that you lead today? And just as a segue, you talked briefly about you wish others, worked as hard as you and things like that. So I think that that comes in play too. This idea of work ethic as well. What are your thoughts around that when you were first in real estate?
Yeah, so when I was first in real estate, that was 2005, so remember those days. Uh, I went in and I started, at Remax, and basically we had the paper contracts with the carbon, like all the things, and, I just kinda went out there and I was like, I guess I'm gonna self-teach myself, because we didn't have all this stuff that we have now. If we had everything we have now, oh my gosh, I would have launched so much faster. But anyway, so I had to figure it out. I just started out doing open houses. Right? And I did them every weekend, and that's how I built my business. And then pretty soon in Vegas, it gets to like 120 degrees in the summertime, and people stop coming to open houses. And I started
Yes.
eating all my pumpkin muffins I made, right? So I started gaining a lot of weight from eating all my muffins. And, my family would be like, I thought you said nobody came to the open house. Where's all the food? I'm like, don't judge me. Right? So I got, that was it. I was there, but I did get clients from open houses and I literally faked it till I made it, and I know they say you don't always that's not always a good idea, but I had to do that because I really didn't know how else to do it. And, I was just like, "Oh, you got a home to sell? I could totally help you with that." I've never had a listing. I have no idea how to even fill out the contract, right? I have no idea how to market things. And, but, I did it and they needed to buy, right? So my first clients were a buy sell, and it wasn't bad. It was like 400,000 for the house I was selling and they were buying something, in the $500,000 range. So in 2005, that was really good for me. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is easier than I thought," right? So I just did it, took pictures, took cell phone pictures. I was that agent, right? But I made them really pretty, right? I put this little,
Sure.
I don't remember what you call it, around
Frame
the
around it.
photo. Just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Ugh, terrible,
I
terrible
love that.
marketing. But, I thought I was really good at what I was doing, and they thought I was good, right? That's the main thing. They thought I was amazing, and I got it sold just like that. But anyway, so I just kept doing that. I just kept doing that, and then I just kept, in contact with them. I stay really close with my past clients, and I always keep them nice and close. So, if they ever need anything, again, I'm here. If they know anybody that wants to buy or sell, I'm here. Right? And they did. They just referred me, and then my business just kept exploding, and I just kept going, right? I mean, as far as you said resilience, I don't know. All I know is that, um, you know, I've been taught to wake up before the world does, right? Because that's when you take care of you, because you can't take care of anybody until you take care of yourself. So yep, I learned how to do that, and money motivates me, right? I mean, everybody has a why. I didn't really have a why. I just knew, I wanted to make money. So let's keep going. I'm gonna go and make more money, right? And help more people. So anyway, it's just kind of that's what motivated me and that's what kept me going. And so for the people that don't do the things every day, I don't really know what they're doing or why they don't do it. Because if you do the working works,
Yeah. By the
you
way,
know,
okay, that's just an incredible mic drop quote. Working works.
working works.
We have there's a promise somehow on social media in the world we're in today that says, there's this work-life balance thing and there's a way to, just make money instantly. There's a way to, suddenly have everything just fall into your lap and, I guess just hang out after that. I'm like you, I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have work because I would create something anyway because I love the feeling of something that, that is well accomplished and the feeling of being able to help people to learn to do those things too. But this comment, working works. There is a false narrative in the world today that I'm afraid a lot of the younger people are coming up with that somehow they can avoid this concept of work. And while
I
their
know.
jobs may look a lot different, you still have to be able to go out and kind of roll up the sleeves and do something if you want money to come in your direction so that you can have free time and go to a park and buy a burger. Like you got to figure out how to have money coming in your direction. And I think social media has promised them more than it can deliver in terms of, even by the way, social media stars put an awful lot of work into being that thing. I wanted to ask you, you've said luxury is not a look, it's a strategy. What was the hardest part of making that transition in real time? Was it the systems, the confidence, which I know we had talked about, the visibility, maybe in terms of marketing or even visibility to those, those new potential clients, or the willingness to, in fact, be seen differently or not? Because you didn't, you focused on not changing yourself actually.
Right. Yeah, um I feel like just figuring out the best system, was step one, right? EXP Luxury, they have amazing products. So when I joined them, I was like, oh, they're gonna teach me how to be luxury. However, they said I needed to, join the country clubs to play pickleball, tennis, and golf, but they have this amazing presentation, right? That
Yes.
that that blew my mind. I was like, "Oh." I mean, I don't even know what all these platforms are, but guess what? Luxury home sellers do, right? I didn't know any of those spaces. And,
Yes.
and we have this beautiful black book. Let's just FedEx it to them. If they don't sell, let's FedEx them a book. Right. So I knew that's where I wanted to start. So we started there, and then I knew I wanted to be in front of them everywhere. Right. So and they need to know I'm in the luxury space now. Here I come. Wendy Goss, your real estate boss, doesn't sound very luxury, but, that's what we went with because I was keeping it, because it rhymes. But anyway, before coming to EXP, I did coach with Krista Mayshore. She taught me, you need to get in front of them on social media and talk to the pain, right? So did I know the pain of luxury home sellers? No. I don't know them at all. Thank goodness we have Chat GPT, right? So I asked Chat, I was like, what are the viewpoints of luxury home sellers? And he gave me 12. And I was like, oh, that's totally different. So our average seller are they're worried about getting their home ready for a home inspection. They're worried about painting the fascia board so they have good curb appeal. So those are things that they're worried about, and those are the videos you should be making for them. You send videos like that to a $10 million home seller, they are not gonna invite you over because they want you taking care of everything. Their pain is different. Their pain is, they want privacy and discretion. I learned about that when I rolled up in my fully, mobile billboard Jeep. Apparently, they don't like that. So, whatever, lesson learned. They like that. They want agent-led showings. They want you to know everything about the home, and be able to give the best tour possible. So I was like, "Oh, I have to give tours now. Okay." So that was a video. Most luxury, I don't know about everywhere else, but they sell for cash. So they want to make sure you have proof of funds from everybody walking through the door. So like these are the type of videos I did, and I already knew how to retarget them with the system I was already using for retargeting. So we have those ads rotating right in front of luxury neighborhoods. And I learned how to extract the luxury neighborhood data, throw it into our CRM, tag them all luxury, and get these going in front of them. Right. So I knew that was going to help with social media. And I did have a little bit of a luxury brand, so there's that. I met this guy, Alvin, at Real Marketing. He has an amazing luxury report. So now I want to be in their mailbox. So that went out to them every month. So this is the strategy that we just kind of slowly started building that worked. Did one thing work better than the other? I don't know. I know the books worked good. That got me in the door. And then being able to,
Yeah.
be in front of them on social media, be in their mailbox, be on their text, their phone, their email. We use Fellow. They keep in contact with them twice a month about their home's value, about the market report. So like, I'm a systems girl. I teach Tech Tuesday. So I love tech. And if I'm not going to join the country clubs, I needed to figure out something else. And so this is what I did. I just started making sure I was in front of them everywhere. And it worked. Pretty cool, huh?
Fantastic. Yeah, and so much, so much there. And the fact is, you did not do this alone. This was an evolution. And in fact, it's one of the questions that I have for you as well, which is who are the coaches or the people on whose coattails, you learned and extracted information so that you could keep rising on your journey. I know you mentioned Chris, Krista, and there may be others. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe in what way they contributed to you?
Well, okay, my first coach was Yvonne Arnold. She is with Tom Ferry. Love her so much. And when I joined Tom Ferry, it was a year after I opened my brokerage. I was a mess, and she wasn't going to take on any new agents, but she saw what a mess I was. So I think she did a little pity for me. But anyway, I just told her, I said, I got about 10 running escrows every month. I have, almost 20 listings. I opened a brokerage, 25 agents joined me. I decided to do property management to be full service for my people. I have 50 properties I'm managing. And, I'm doing it all by myself. I need help. And she goes, oh God, okay, let's go. So she she was a game changer, right? And so there's a lot of different coaches for different things. She basically taught me, to let's wheel it all in, take a look at it. She's like, okay, this property management. She goes, why are you doing that? I'm like, I want to be full service for my clients. I don't want to refer them out to other people. And she goes, okay, well, you have 50 properties and you're making, $5,000 a month on 50 properties. So you have 50 owners, 50 tenants, and 50 HOAs up your ass every month for $5,000 where you could sell one house. So
Yeah.
let's take that and sell it to property management and let's move forward. My life has never been better. I was like, okay. I mean, the freaking satellite cord is the wrong color of white next to the stucco. You need to go paint it. Anyway, so she taught me how to do that. They taught me really good with systems and how to track things really well. So I love that. I coached with them for 4 years. So I love them to that for that. But I joined Straight Text, and they're one of my main tools that I use for retargeting and running ads. And so I love that, and digital marketing is where it's at, and I feel like everybody should know how to do that, and so thank you for that. And then, yes, I was started doing well, I did videos a lot, but they were terrible. They were terrible until I met Krista, and honestly, she just made me do them. The more you do, the better you get, right?
Yes.
So, that's the thing, is if you guys are out there listening and you're afraid of doing video, it's fine. Just keep doing them. They'll be fine. You should see some of my videos, like, they're terrible. But, you just get better. Like with anything, you just get better. I also coach with Agent Launch. We have 83,000, subscribers on our YouTube channel. I love them. Like they taught me how to branch, through that. Cause I had 50 subscribers when I started, so there's systems and people and I just feel like even coaches need coaching, right? So I hired someone to help me, with my coaching. They're called Up Level. They teach me how to message and it works. So so it's funny. I feel like every time I hired a coach, I've 10x whatever I've tried to do. So
Yeah, I think that's so
yep.
consistent with all of the, leaders that we've had on the podcast is that you really can't get there alone and you can collapse so much time if you can get assistance when you need it. And I love how you're breaking down different coaches for different purposes because once you had learned the systems and the management methods and everything around running your brokerage and having efficacy in that environment, then you pivoted to, okay, how do I build a social media brand and strategy? And that was Krista Mishore. And I'm sure that, like you said, rolled over into luxury because then you're saying, let me talk to the pain points of luxury buyers and sellers as opposed to the pain points of the average buyer and seller. And then the fact that, yes, you had people who then helped you with your YouTube channel, another one that is now helping you literally be a coach. So let's kind of segue into and talk about your coaching. I know this is, a big thing that you're working on right now. You were speaking about it, did a beautiful presentation on stage in Seattle about that. What does it look like to have invented that? What was your inspiration for it? And then what does it serve exactly? What does Wendy Goss coaching do?
Okay, I love that. Um, and honestly, I am absolutely in love with this new level that I've reached. So, I didn't realize I was going to go there at all, right? But when I realized what I did worked, right? I
Yes.
didn't talk about it until it worked. But I was determined to make it work because I already told the whole world I was gonna be luxury, right? There was no turning back. I was not gonna say, "Oh, never mind, just kidding." So I knew I had to figure it out, but I did, and then I have agents under me, like, all over the country because 'cause I'm at EXP, and I'm like, "Hey, you guys, try this." Like, I did this step by step. I wanna see if it works for you, right? I wanna see if it works in other areas. I don't want anybody saying, "Well, you're in Las Vegas, it's different there." It's literally not. It literally works everywhere there's luxury. So, that's what I love about it so much is that it was really exciting when I did it, but it's even more exciting seeing other people do it, you know? So,
Yeah.
seeing other people do things that they didn't think that they would be able to do, right? And get into rooms that they didn't think that they belonged in, you know? And it's just so great, just being able to hear all the wins, you know? I hear, "Oh my god, Wendy, you changed my life." I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." I mean, usually buyers and sellers or they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. This is our dream house, blah, blah," and I love that. I love that feeling
Yes.
to be able to help people, and now I just kinda switched gears, and now I'm helping agents, So it just feels really good, and I love it. I mean, this one gal, she sent out one of the books, and I think it was like 1.5 million expired listing or something, and, uh and the seller called her and said, "Oh my gosh, I love your marketing. However, we have like 7
Mm.
luxury homes on like, I don't know, 100 acres," whatever it was. She goes, "So it's like 22 million. Can you sell that?" She was like, "Oh my gosh, Wendy, I got a $22 million listing." I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." I didn't even know they had $22 million listings in her area, but how exciting, you know? And one of my agents in Park City, Utah, when she cashed her first $100,000 check, like, that is a game changer. When you go from a $10,000 check to a $100,000 check, like, that is life
Absolutely.
changing. So,
Yeah.
that's cool,
That is
and I love it.
life-changing. That is incredible. I love to hear the stories because I think it does come down to that, once many of us as realtors have been bitten by the bug of, giving that gift basket at closing or giving the keys and having a client, tearfully thank you, or run into you in a store and they're kind of speaking to you like you're their favorite teacher and introducing you around. And when you get bitten by the bug as a boss of what it is to be able to teach your skill set to another human being and watch it change their life and their economic world, that's incredible. It is such another level of that, sense of caring that it sounds like you've always had a great affinity for. Like you said early on, all of your clients received luxury treatment, in your mind because
Right.
you wanted to overserve. I mean, even the fact, and I thought this was kind of funny because you were eating your pumpkin muffins, but my thought was she was baking at every open house. Like, okay, wow.
Yeah,
That would
I
not have
baked
been
them
me,
here
but
the other house.
I love it though. But
That's
there is a way to level up every element of this industry and this job, and in fact, of any job, to not just check boxes or pay lip service to the functions that you're supposed to be doing, but really figure out how to overserve because you care that much. And by the way, because money is a great motivator if you're money motivated, or helping others is a great motivator, right? So you can have all these motivations, but there's also something to be said for just doing things right for the desire and the ethic of doing things right. And from what I'm understanding from all of this conversation as well is that you really do care as well to do the very best job you can because you know that your clients are counting on you. And it does come down to you. And now it's agents who are counting on you. So I wanted to ask, I know that our time is running short, and I had a couple questions for you. What are your three sort of non-negotiables in terms of who, like you said, who will join your brokerage or who will work with you or that you take on in terms of even clients? What are, or in how you treat those clients? What are your non negotiables around, the businesses that you run in order to make sure that you're maintaining that brand?
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, the agents, that was an easy thing after I got coaching and fired half my agents because, I mean, I just like let everybody join me. I was like, "Oh, you want to join? Right on. Sign here." You know what I mean? And uh, you know, that was the exciting first part, but then it was like, then, move on, she's like, "Really? Is that who you want?" You know, because a lot of people are time sucks, so a lot of buyers and sellers are
Mhm.
time sucks, a lot of agents are time sucks, so you gotta kinda recognize that right off the bat and figure out who you do wanna work with, and the coolest part is that when you're first in the business, you don't really have that choice. It's like everybody is going to need, everybody, I'm going to take on everybody because, you don't have any business, right? So it does change. So no, if you're just getting started, go meet those people. Who cares, right? Help them do what they need to do. But once you're in it for like, I don't know, let's say 5 years, when your phone just keeps ringing, because people keep referring you and then people buy and sell, uh, again, then you can be choosy, right? You can start choosing who you want to work with. You get an online leads and you don't have a good vibe, like, okay, well, uh, I just make the decision right there because same with agents. I only want to work with agents that I want to work with, right? So now we have people joining EXP, joining my organization, joining my coaching. But even my coaching, I'll tell you, like, if you can't do, uh, luxury takes money. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't let anybody come in and they don't have any money. It takes money to do what we're
Yes.
doing, right? So maybe
Yeah.
we'll start here and help you build your bank account, right? We gotta build your bank account with, big or small, we sell them all. The small ones are gonna fund the big ones, so there's that. But, I just kind of feel like who you work with matters, because, at the end of the day, you wanna feel good about your day and you don't wanna drink. Sorry. Maybe you do. But anyway, so just being able to pick your buyers and sellers and your agents, you just gotta be good people and, not be mean, and there's a lot of people out there that will treat you bad, and life's too short to deal with that.
Yeah, I
So
think
there's
so good and so well said. So I wanted to ask you also for your life, your life, we'll call it work life balance, for all the millennials and next generation listening. But what does that look like for you? You mentioned earlier that you wake up before the whole world, and I don't know if you're still doing that, but you've also kind of changed where you're at. I think geographically you seem to be traveling the US. So tell us a little bit about what are your current nine not what is your current schedule, or how does it work to blend your life and your work at this stage, and how do you care for yourself because look, you're up to a lot. You are doing some pretty major things.
right. When you're helping people, it definitely takes a lot out of you, right? So if I'm
Mhm.
on Zooms all day, I feel it, right? So you have to start off with making sure that your coffee caffeinated, you got your yoga in, you fixed your mindset, like, cause I mean, you can't just wake up amazing every morning. That doesn't work. Like, I learned a couple years ago, this girl said, successful people do the hard things. Get up. Successful people do the hard things. Get up. So that I say that to myself every morning, right? It's not easy. I'm 51. I freaking feel pain. I'm going to get up. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to do my yoga. I'm going to fix my mindset and I'm going to work on content. I love working on content and that's when I can do it. That's when I'm most creative is in the morning, right? Because if you try to do any of that stuff in the middle of the day, it's not getting done, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I do. And yes, I am solely working with agents right now, which is amazing. I got out of production January 2025. So we had a 10-year
Okay.
goal of me getting out of production when I came to EXP, and I did it in three. So 3 years in, luxury agent attraction, and here I am. I'm in my RV. I'm traveling around the country, visiting my agents, going and having realtor classes, helping them build their organizations, helping them sell more houses. And I freaking love this so much. I retired my husband in December. We sold the home, burned the boats, bought this RV and a semi truck that's stretched for our Jeep. And we have our Harleys in the back. And we're literally doing this right now. It's crazy, right? So
Incredible.
I
Well, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Just the fact that you are living the dream, right? The dream life that you designed for yourselves. And by the way, it was by design. The fact that you were able to accelerate it is extraordinary and, knock off 7 years out of that 10 because you joined EXP, you did agent attraction, you jumped into luxury, you were able to collapse time in a really big way. So that is really extraordinary because how many people out there, number one, don't have a 10-year goal? Number two, you know, aren't enacting it or they're, 12 years into their 10 or 7 years into their 10 and they realize they need another 10 because they haven't put that plan into place yet in a meaningful way and they're not tracking it. But the fact that you were able to retire out of production, retire your husband as well, and live this dream life and genuinely be on the road in the way that you want. That is unbelievable. And I applaud that. It is an inspiration for, I think, so many people and so many of our listeners. So I know that I have just a short time left for the woman listening who feels called to a higher room, but thinks that she has to look, sound, or live differently to belong there. What would you want her to understand about authenticity in as a business advantage?
um yeah, just know that you don't have to be that person, right? I bombed my first 5 listing appointments and that was like $1 million in commission. So just know, if you're faking it in the high heels and you can't really walk in them and you're praying that people will ask you to take them off at the door, wear the boots and jeans. It's okay. Because my first one I landed was $12 million and I was in my boots and jeans and in my Jeep, right? And I felt like me. I felt like I was actually finally me, and I think he could tell, right? We had a good rapport. He fell in love with me, fell in love with my marketing. I fell in love with his log cabin. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I grew up in a log cabin and thank God it wasn't this big." We had to peel all the logs, me and my sister, when we were little. So, so just telling him that story and being real and authentic with him, like, it was so much better than the first 5 appointments I went in trying to be someone I wasn't. So just
Yeah.
know, just gotta be you. And it literally just takes some amazing products, a good strategy, and a good coach, and you can get there.
I love it. So good and such great advice for the person out there who, again, is just not feeling like they belong. Each person has their own unique group that they can belong to, like your log cabin. Just the fact that you had that experience and you could see it through eyes that were so different than I think any agent who had walked into the room. As you continue building through real estate coaching, tech education, and woman centered community, what legacy are you most intent on leaving not just in the marketplace, but in how women learn to rise without abandoning themselves and with also being able to use their authentic voice. What's next for you?
Well, we have a 5-year goal of doing this. So
Awesome.
we I like goals, right? I like to shoot for goals. But yeah, we have a 5-year goal of traveling around in this beautiful, country that we're in, connecting with agents and just inspiring people to do what I did and, help them get there and helping my, people that are under me at EXP, helping them grow their organizations so they can do what I'm doing. Like they're just like, okay, how do we get there? Right. So I'm figuring out the game plan, creating duplication right now. Because that's where I'm at. I need to create duplication, right? Because I can't build something big on my own, right? So I'm looking for people that wanna, go to the top with me. So that's what we're doing.
Fantastic. Well, Wendy, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, for being part of Women Who Rise on today's episode. And I know that, your unique brand, your heartfelt desire to serve not only the public, but now agents in how they can learn to use their own authenticity and get into luxury and figure out how to be a great agent or build a downline. I just think it's extraordinary. And I encourage people to reach out to you. Thank you again so much for being part of the episode. Audience, stay tuned. We will do our recap on Wendy's takeaways in just a moment, followed by the worksheet. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Well, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. Today, Wendy taught us number one, luxury service comes from the heart and great systems. It's so important to be able to serve from your heart. And also, what she learned is that luxury people are just like anyone else. She needed to be able to show them remedies, to their problems, things that she could show that she cared. She could show that she was a genuine person, create a common point, common ground to be able to speak from. And yes, systems. She talked about having great systems to be able to take care of their needs, to be able to take care of what it is they need, and to be able to understand their pain points, which are different than maybe the regular, buyer category. Number two, she talked about luxury agents can be unique and they don't need to fit a particular glam, model. And so, or mold. So basically, this idea that you've got to have the $1 million shoes and all the things, it really is not necessary. Wendy found that, showing up her in her jeans and boots and having her particular style ended up working just fine for her, and in fact, she was able to attract and take care of her clients really without a problem, showing up as she was, because that was her normal organic style. And it was something that, suited her and that she felt confident in. Now, this doesn't mean, roll out of bed and go to the appointment. Obviously, I think looking put together and this kind of thing is important. But Wendy shows up prepared. She shows up in her style and in her very natural way of communicating. And this has worked extremely well for her. And so her encouragement to others is that please don't feel like you don't belong in luxury just because you don't look like someone who walked off of Selling Sunset. You have to understand that, sure, there are people out there like that, but it doesn't mean you have to look like that to be a wonderful servant of your clients, to have really good, systems that are together, and to have really good delivery of great quality agent work. And that does not need to come packaged like a certain mold or celebrity style. Third, she talked about having coaching and that it has always 10x'd whatever it is that she was up to. Invest the time find the right one for you now and understand that that coach that's there, that is the right one for you now may be a different one in a few years or a year or what have you. So Wendy has used one coach for several years while she was running her brokerage primarily. She chose a different coach for social media. She segued onto Krista Mayshore, and she actually helped springboard her luxury listing off of that. And then she's had a couple of, niche coaches that helped her to be able to manage different aspects of her business and her social media really well, including now a coach for coaches to help her be able to expose her content and be able to reach the right people. Fourth, set a plan for your success and your life and tie that in with what you hope to achieve and then go for it. Wendy is currently RVing around the country, visiting, agents that are in her downline. She's living a life of a, dream life, really, and one that she planned. And it's because she planned it that she's able to live it, right? So she had a 10-year plan, and actually, she worked so hard and so effectively at that in the beginning that she was able to do it in 3 years and collapse time, partly because she had the right coaches, partly because she had a really good plan, and partly because she's willing to work really hard at implementing. So create a plan, stick to it. Maybe it'll take longer, maybe it'll take less time, but at least have a plan in mind. Have goals incrementally that you set for yourself, both long and short term goals, and work those back in order to figure out how you are going to design your dream life and how you're going to design getting it done. And then, by the way, she had a phrase I absolutely loved from this episode, which was working works. Basically, understand you've got to have a work ethic if you expect your dreams to come true. You've got to be able to apply yourself. You've got to come up with a coach and a plan and do all those other things. But don't forget the aspect of a work ethic, actually being able to roll up your sleeves and do the daily work that it takes to get your job done, right? This podcast takes work. Everything that Wendy has built takes work. And, don't let anyone fool you that that instant gratification is right around the corner. Um, and if it is for a few people, hey, that's great. But for the most part, there's got to be some element of application of what it is you're learning, of what it is you're getting from your coaches, of what it is you're getting from this episode. And so I hope you enjoy the episode. Please visit our website to find our episode guide and our worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life and your career. Please like and subscribe and join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you more incredible content all the time so that you can rise in your life. Again, thank you so much. Heather Mansy, signing off.